In the series that was meant to be all about the mixed games, I felt really eager to chalk up something on the scoreboard that didn't include the words No Limit Hold'em. And so when I backed up 50k for day 2 of the Stud High Low event, I felt really excited, and even more excited than usual, for a game that I put so much preparation into, and it's become definitely one of my favourite games. The mixed game events always attract very small fields but very big rails, as all the locals come out to see the superstar American Hold'em players. And from my early judgment, it would seem to me that you can divide them into almost 2 halves. There's half of the fantastic Hold'em players that play the mixed games okay, but another half who play Hold'em fantastically well and play stud in the mixed games fantastically well as well. And my day 2 starting table unfortunately would comprise the wrong half of that superstar field, as I had to compete against the likes of Barry Greenstein, Erik Seidel and John Joander all day. I would ultimately bust out in 34th place, just about 15 short of the money, and would be really disappointed for a while to do so. I felt that I was fairly comfortable in that kind of field and played pretty well. Unfortunately, we'll always look back on one crucial pot where a slight mistake was maybe the start of my downfall. In Stud High Low, you're always faced with some really tight value betting decisions on the river, where you could easily check behind and be done with the hand, but have to try and squeeze the last bit of value out of the hand. The risk that you take of doing that is getting check raised and showing a hand that's beating you both ways, which unfortunately is exactly what happened to me, as I made the very tight judgment to value bet a 2 pair and 7 low against Barry Greenstein. Wasn't happy to get into the check raise, had to play it off, and got shown that he had gut shot at the river for a wheel. It was obviously a piece of bad luck on the river for me, but one that ultimately cost me 8,000 more than it might have done. But overall I was pretty happy, and it seems that the luck that I'm missing out of in the mixed game events has been way more than made up for in the Hold'em. It would be nice to have it the other way around, but can't complain. But I'll be really excited today for the start of the Omaha High Low event. One of the great things about the World Series is that when you best out of one event, there's always the next event starting either later that day or at midday the next. And so I took the decision to play the 5k No Limit Hold'em full ring event. Another day one saw another really tough field, but one where I forgot all about variance and just went for it, and got lucky to come out on the right end of things and bag up 65k. And then on day 2 I raced up to a really quick start and pretty soon had 150k, which was average for the cash. And then I got moved to another really tough table, and the one that included my good friend Sam Trickett. One of the most interesting No Limit Hold'em pots of the tournament then came as he opened to 5,500. It was flatted by Scott in the win, who had a short stack. He was only playing 35k, something which ultimately changes the whole hand. And I've got queens in the big blind, so I 3-bet to 15,500 of my 150k stack. It comes back to Sam, who immediately cuts chips, thinks for a while, and 4-bets me. Basically clicks it back. He made it just 20k more. Scott in the win gets out the way, and now it comes back to me. And first of all, I have a really tough decision. A queen's good here. I would have passed jacks, but felt that against his range, queens were just about good for my 150k stack. But also there was another thing that played in my favour slightly, and I felt I had a real chance for something unusual. I had a real chance to make him pass ace-king. That I tried to do by making a 5-bet that effectively committed me all in without putting all my chips in. So I actually just 5-bet clipped it back against Sam. I think I made it 68k of my 150k total. That is something I often try against really good players, as it just makes them wonder why I commit myself all in without putting all the chips in. I was really hesitant to do it against Sam, who's a fantastic reader of the game, and also I have some kind of history with, and I knew that he would suspect, hang on a minute, that this looks way too obvious that I'm trying to make it look stronger. Why am I trying to do that? But what tipped the balance for me is that what makes this hand really interesting is that Scott Nguyen has only put 5,500 chips into the pot, but that flat call almost changes everything. It means that Sam knows my 3-bet must be strong, and therefore he knows that I know his 4-bet must be strong. So when I make my 5-bet, he can take out completely that slight chance that I'm messing around. So now that I must have a pretty strong range, now it helps me to make this kind of strange click it back 5-bet. And I just thought that he would give that enough credit, because no one really suspects anyone of turning queens into a bluff. But I think it's a pretty important thing to think about, because in one of these spots where I'm going to get it in against aces and kings anyway, I'm probably going to make him pass jacks anyway, I might as well focus all my attention on just that one hand. And so when Sam obviously thought through everything, and he's a fantastic card reader, but I don't blame him for eventually giving his hand up. and flashed me ace king. It felt really, really good, and I was racing away. We then got into the money soon after that. I chipped down a little bit, and then unfortunately did have to take my inevitable race. I got it in with jacks for my big blind against ace queen of hearts for what I immediately knew would be a 300k plus race. It would have been a sweet one to win, but unfortunately an ace in the door made me lose it in emphatic fashion. And for a while I was reeling just because I knew what might have been. It's definitely some consolation to know that the way I've been running in No Limit Hold'em recently, it meant that I was just about due to lose a race. But it still left me feeling gutted because it was a really exciting tournament, and 300k would have been a really sweet spot. But anyway, never mind, it's nice to get another series cash, and we're back to the mixed game events today, and hopefully a slight reversal of fortune in those games. It's the Omaha 8 Championship. News coming up soon.